See, we did it. We made it through. This is the end of the season where we cover the Wastelands. My only call to action for you at the start is to please tell your friends about the show. Tweet about us, write about us on Facebook, all that stuff. We want to grow, and your word of mouth is really the only way we have to do that. So thank you to everybody who has, and thank you to everybody who will, and thank you so much for listening. Now let's go answer, or more appropriately ask, some riddles. Welcome to Radio Free Midworld, a podcast about the Dark Tower series of books written by Stephen King. My name is Cole Ross, and I am your host, and today I am joined by Autumn Greer.
Delighted to be here.
And by Paddy Smith.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and we're here to conclude our discussion of the Wastelands. Here talking about this final kind of dangling chapter, the Riddles and Wasteland, or Riddle and Wasteland, I forget how the pluralization goes. But yeah, this is going to be kind of a shorter episode, but we're going to get our final thoughts in on the Wasteland. So I'm happy to have both of you here, because I think that you are the most frequent kind of co-hosts for this season. So it's going to be good to kind of wrap this up with you.
Yeah, that feels right. I feel like we've the Ginger Three, the trio of redheads has ridden a few times on this show, haven't we? So
the Ginger Three. Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better one.
Let me
come back to it.
That's perfectly fine. No, we'll come up with it. We'll just let's keep that one open, and we can come back to it. Yeah.
What about the three albinos?
This is like a really solid Quentin Tarantino film.
Ooh. Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to have you guys here. Why don't we get started with it? Last time, when we talked about Bridge and City, the horrors of the City of Lud had kind of taken their toll on our buddies here. Roland, Jake, and Oi just kind of barely escaped from this mountain of a man, the TikTok man, this master of the Greys living beneath the city. That encounter left TikTok feeling kind of shitty, missing most of his scalp, but he was rescued by a familiar sorcerer calling himself Richard Fannin. And they escaped, and the Ka-Tet has kind of gathered themselves up again at the Cradle of Lud, where the artificial intelligence of Blaine the Monorail is toying with them as he counts down toward the utter destruction of the city. Because guess what? Blaine the Mono, not playing with a full deck of cards, I believe, is one of the euphemisms they bring here. So neither of you were on the last episode where we kind of got our first glimpse at Blaine. I want to, kind of rewind a little bit and hear from both of you, kind of your first impressions of Blaine as a character. Autumn, I'll lead with you.
It's very hard for me going back and reading this and actually reading the in-depth descriptions, because it's hard not to picture Blaine when you're first reading through it with this whole, I don't know, Metropolis, Art Deco, like a stylized train that you would see maybe in like a old-timey train ad or something like that. But when you actually read the descriptions of him, I was kind of surprised. I mean, he's got some pink carpeting, some blue carpeting. He sounds like my grandmother's bathroom in the 80s. Like
a lot of floral prints.
Yeah, but having a pink train and a light blue train, it just reminds me of that old pink Formica with the glitter in it. I feel like there's something a little bit dated about Blaine that again, kind of rereading it this time, kind of added something to it. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. Instead of being that bright chromey train that I would picture, it's I don't know. I really enjoy rereading it this time.
Yeah, like this outdated version of sleek and futuristic. Before,
exactly.
This came after the alien version of the degraded future, right? Where everything was all blocky and stuff. So this actually does feel like a little bit out of date, where the future would be kind of pretty or sleek or streamlined, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Paddy, how about you?
Yeah, much the same. My initial impressions of him were sort of very, like you say, Art Deco, smooth and liney, and then they sort of just start describing it as this big sort of long pink shape like a big, long, thin, pink shape.
Yeah.
And from that point on, Blaine, in my mind, was a dick.
Yeah.
You can't, once you've seen it, you can't shake it. It's there, and it's got these little triangular, angry eyes at the front.
Like a dick has.
Like a dick has. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we agree. I thought that was just me.
Oh no! It really adds a lot more depth to the. You got to prime my pump, but my pump primes backwards, baby. I mean, it really
Excuse
turns
me,
that.
sir.
Yeah, that it really makes that into a sexual euphemism right there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you were not going to make that if nobody was going to make that comparison, I was going to, because in turns that is described as being both bullet shaped and kind of the shape of this beached whale. It's kind of strange. But we're going to see inside this that it is, like Autumn said, this really outdated, this really kind of lush presentation that we have. But we have to get inside first. And Blaine is being very coy with us right now. You remember from the last chapter that they're the only way that you can interact with him so far, they are kept across the room behind this gate. They've got this little speaker box and a number pad that counts up to 100 in this diamond. And Blaine is this crazy AI who is obsessed with puzzles, and he presents them with this puzzle that they have to solve before he lets them in and gives them any kind of refuge from the poison gas he is about to soak the city with. And the puzzle is that they have to prime his pump, but his pump primes backward. And again, I just have to say, excuse me, sir?
How dare you?
and so they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to locate where the pump might be. Like maybe he has a fuel pump or whatever. Again, we have our buddies Roland and Eddie being very literal, but this causes a little bit of an epiphany for our friend Susanna, who has this recon on what to do. And I like this a lot.
You can see her she's almost got it.
Yeah. Yeah, like
it's almost there. It's like I can feel the answer, but I can't see the answer. Like when you're doing a good riddle or a good puzzle, like you've kind of almost got it, but you just need the one little sort of snap, like ah.
I love the way she describes. She says, "I've got the answer, but it's stuck. It's like a chicken bone at the back of my throat."
She needs to use a Professor Layton hint coin.
Oh yes.
just to let it free.
I mean, she kind of does. She asked Roland to do his bullet trick.
What I really liked about Roland with the bullet trick is they note that everybody else there has to look away because they're about to get hypnotized. Like they're like, oh, not today, Roland. Because I have to imagine, like if it were me, I mean, this is why I shouldn't be a gunslinger, but I'd hypnotize everybody all the time. I'd be like, Autumn doesn't need to do chores when we get to the camp. Autumn is smart.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we're going to meet kind of the gunslinger equivalent of a Sith later. So, yeah, no, but you would definitely be a dark gunslinger in that case.
Let's just say I wouldn't be getting any firewood.
No.
Ever.
Yeah, you would always be like, oh, I'll take the third watch. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go get some sleep. But her purpose in having Roland, hypnotize her is to kind of take her back and help her remember the voice of her father. And she's got this expression. I think this is the first time that we see this, where Roland notes that, oh, she looks just like she did at the clearing with the bear. And there's a line here, Ka was a wheel. Its one purpose to turn. And in the end, it always came back to the place where it had started. And so that is going to be pretty noteworthy and a theme going forward with the series. It was strange to see it pop up this early. But Roland hypnotizes her, and out comes. I'm calling everybody our old friend. I need to find another way to do this, but Detta makes an appearance for the first time.
I wouldn't call her a friend.
Yeah, a little bit, but she's kind of like a calmer version of Detta than we met.
So it's like when you're watching a long form show. And the bad guy from season 2 turns up as a friend in season 4. You're like, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, and I did.
Happening to me. I'm reading One Piece at the moment, and I'm at a section where they're at a prison, and pretty much every enemy in the game is now on the good team. It's brilliant. It's that.
Yeah. It's any of that serialized kind of stuff. Like, hey, Piccolo's our buddy now. Yeah. That is one for the Dragon Ball fans in the audience.
Got to check that box.
We already got Star Wars in, so we're almost there. You're playing bingo. Go ahead, Autumn.
Yeah. I just love that Detta's really good at math. I love it.
It's great because it's set up in dichotomy. You know, she's talking shit about Odetta, who hated math, and she only got a C with the help of her dad. And she was out there studying poetry, which Detta has absolutely no time for.
My favorite too, and actually maybe you guys could help me with this, when they're talking about the numbers, and she mentions that they're prime numbers, Stephen King writes that she pronounced the word prime in a way that almost rhymed with calm, and I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, they're prom numbers.
Prom numbers.
Yeah, prom numbers.
Prom.
Yeah. That would be the way that I would do it if I was doing that voice. But that comports with what we know about Detta, right? She is this cunning, very kind of calculating person, and I just love the way that they again show this duality. Even hear a book later, like with this different competency and different kind of passion. Like she comes forward and is like, okay, you dipshits, let me explain this to you in the most basic possible terms. And instead of just doing it, she actually like revels in like having people cross off the numbers for her.
I have to say as well, having Susanna or Odetta or Detta on my team when it came to taking a college entrance exam like the SAT, I mean, you roll Odetta out for the verbal, you roll Detta out for the math portion. You just need a number 2 pencil and a bullet on your desk, and you're ready to.
Yep.
You're ready to get into a fine university.
You have to hope that they don't get stuck.
Confiscate the bullets at the door. They do check your bag for bullets. Unfortunately,
it's frowned on these days. It's not great. Yeah, but a bullet shaped thing, like a small, a very a 1/64th model of Blaine, I think would probably suffice. Yeah.
What's that he's got in his hand? Is it a tiny beached whale? No.
What's that tiny dick you're holding? You're getting sleepy.
Just describe my sex life.
Oh, Jesus.
Laura is staring at me right now. She has no idea what we were talking about.
I can't imagine being on the other being able to only hear one side of this. So good for her. Extend.
That's what it must be like.
Extend our thanks.
I shall not.
Okay. But what she does is she explains this kind of heuristic called the net of Aristophanes, which I had never heard of before I read this, but just, hey, you find the lowest prime and then you cross out any of the multipliers, any of the, things that could be divided by that. Then all of a sudden you're left with just all of the non-prime numbers. And so she's going through and giving this lesson while the countdown to doomsday is happening. And they're like, okay, there you go.
She couldn't just do it for them. She had to make them do it for themselves.
Right.
And she also
It's not like they're in a rush, is it?
Yeah.
It's not like there are 12 minutes before everyone's going to die.
What does she care? She's going away anyway.
And the way she called Blaine that honky computer really worked for me as well. That was a nice moment of comedy right there for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about it. Blaine is a big, long, pink, phallic object. Detta hates it.
Jeez. Yeah, but she's got a good read on Blaine because she has an accurate impression, and she can say that, from one crazy person to another. Yeah.
And I did check how many prime numbers there were between 1 and 100. It wasn't 19.
Okay, thank you.
I count. It's 26. 19 is one of them.
Oh, 26. 26, like the numbers in the alphabet? Alphabet. How many times do you have to say that in order to get to 19 numbers?
It's too late for math.
Yeah.
It's a shame Detta isn't here because she'd be able to just rattle it off like that.
Yeah, I'm basically just trying to do the number 23s all the way to 19 this time. But we're 2 books early for that. But yeah, they're about to input the incorrect combination, and then I forget who it is. Is it Eddie who says, "Oh, you have to prime it backwards"?
No,
dipshits.
Jake.
Jake. Okay, there we go. Yeah,
smart little shit.
Eddie's gifted in different ways.
I would love to see a Groundhog Day montage of all the ways that the Ka-Tet could have died. Like, just like one of those like 6-second like cut things, like, oh, the Shardik the bear got you. Oh, you put the numbers in and then the whole world exploded. Like I'd watch about 20 minutes of all the ways they could have screwed it up to this point.
Oh yeah. I just, what I want is the collection of the last pages of the You Died pages from a Choose Your Own Adventure version of the Dark Tower books.
Yeah, like Roland is allergic to Keflex. Whoops, he's dead. Yep. Quest over.
Yeah.
Everyone fell off a bridge at the same time.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Gasher slipped. Yeah. None of these are linked to choices. They're just terrible things that happen for no reason. Yeah. So they open up the gate by solving this puzzle, and then Blaine says, "All right, well, you better hurry because I'm not stopping just because you solved this. Also, there are several gas outlets in this area. So scoot." They get inside the first car, and this is the Barony cabin. This is this very ostentatious, opulently furnished, very plush first class kind of cabin, and Blaine, being the master host that he is, even prepared an ice sculpture of Roland, accurate down to the missing fingers.
Right, so I have thoughts here.
Okay.
What the fuck? Like, I mean, how... I understand that technology is advanced and he's a magic train with some things it can do.
We're accepting a couple of premises on the way to this.
He must have had that ice ready to go for a while. And then I could believe he'd carve it, but did he have the ice on board ready? Does he have cameras outside? How? Why?
The Internet of Things is a wonderful phenomenon, Paddy.
See, I made a note of this as well, because what I was wondering was, would Blaine have helped them out? Like, if they were like, gee, what's a prime number? Oh, I don't know. Would little Blaine have popped in? I mean, you've already got that ice sculpture going. You obviously want them to get on you so you can start your death run. I mean, would little Blaine have come out and been like, oh, gee, maybe you can't divide 3 by 1 or 2?
Yeah. If you're thinking of Blaine as like a good DM, like a good dungeon master, then yes, he would make sure that they failed forward, right? Yeah, I think that he is too vain to let them die before they give him what he wants, right?
Yeah, he could have changed the password to 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I made this cool thing. I really need you to see it. Stop dicking around in the tavern. Get on with the damn quest. I made you an ice sculpture. It's resplendent. Just walk through the door. Just walk through the door.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Edward Scissorhands? It's pretty much like that.
Yeah. It'll blow your mind. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, hey, maybe John Farson had a point. If this is the first class and like they just have a machine that makes that makes gunslinger and royalty ice sculptures, that's kind of a dick move, right?
From a dick train.
Oh yeah.
a dick train with pale blue opulent carpet.
Yeah, it's.
Do you think in the other train is pale pink opulent carpet? Do you think they mirrored them?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, like all the blues and pinks are switched around. It's something nice to think about in the quiet times.
Yeah. When they walk inside, as they see this, they're hearing this voice that sounds very much like a more confident version of Little Blaine. This is probably what Blaine's voice sounded like before he split. Saying, "Oh, watch your step. Welcome to the Barony coach. Praise the Imperium." Things like that. The Imperium, I believe, never appeared before this and never appears again. So I do not know what that is a name for, unfortunately. But Blaine, because he has to play up the haunted house effect of the AI gone mad, speeds it up to this high pitched whine and says, "Well, that's enough of that boring horseshit. Let's get the real game started."
I mean, well done, Blaine.
Yeah.
That could have gone for hours, couldn't it?
Will somebody turn this off? Yeah.
Like that's Blaine. It's Blaine the DM. Yeah, he's like, okay, we're done with that. You get the point. Right, moving on. Let's do the fun part. Look at this ice sculpture.
Yeah, look at it. Just break off a couple more of those fingers, pop them in your drink. Yeah. Actually, I would not trust the water in Lud if I were you. There's a lot of corpses that are being rained on.
That's true.
Yeah. So Blaine, he operates on the path of the beam, and he can take them along the beam as far as Topeka. Blaine is surprised that Jake knows this, but Jake, with his interdimensional children's book, kind of has the playbook for what's going to happen here. And basically, whenever they question why Blaine is going to do anything, Jake just says, plainly, Blaine's a pain. Like, he'll do it just because he wants to.
I wrote a thesis on this. I got an A++.
Yep. Kind of a visionary.
Yeah.
And just to kind of pull this power move, saying like, hey, look at what's going on as they're leaving the city, Blaine makes the walls and the floor disappear. Kind of does this weird little active camouflage, simulating the appearance of the outside world, which freaks everybody out but Jake, who we've established is not afraid of heights because he's already died to it once, right? And Roland, who is accustomed to magic, there's this cute little beat, as they are passing through the city and seeing people bleed from all of the holes in their body, where Oi, Jake sets Oi down, saying like, "Hey, boy, it's safe." He steps on Jake's shoes and just like cowers there, like he's a little platform of safety.
Perfectly rational response.
Oh yeah.
In the situation of you're flying above a load of people who are dying out of blood from every orifice, right?
Yeah.
Like it's bad gas. And like Blaine establish earlier, like it's not good death. It's pretty painful death, guys. It's not good.
Right.
Oh, fuck you, Blaine.
What I think is a little bit sad about this is it's obvious that Roland's world is a very literal world, because if Blaine can control like these computer generated images, obviously memes don't exist in Gilead. Like this would be the perfect spot for like Ted Cruz's The Zodiac Killer or something like that, instead of just rushing through the air. I mean, what a shame that memes don't exist in Gilead.
Which raises the question, how do we know that any of this is real? That he is not just putting together this image to freak them out.
Are you red pilling me right now?
No. Very much so. No. I just the thought just occurred to me. But yes, if Blaine was written today, he would totally be a meme lord. I mean, he's mentally ill. So.
Well, you were having premarital sex. I studied the train tracks.
Oh man. So Blaine explains their course and pops up the route map. God, I get so self-conscious trying to pronounce that word. Route. They're going Route, yes, the Route map. They're going to cover about 7,000 miles. And Blaine says, "Oh, it was once much less." But that was before all temporal synapses began to melt down. Susanna's like, "What does that mean?" And he just moves on. He doesn't provide. He's all heat and no light. This guy. Yeah.
So when he says temporal synapses, like I read that as he's talking about the world.
Yeah.
Like it's shorter, but obviously the world's knackered and moving on and spreading out, and everything's much further away than it used to be. I read that as him being actually quite lucid in that one, going, yeah, no, it's the temporal synapses, but it's the world's temporal synapses. Ooh.
Yeah. I'm actually really curious about that, because the way he describes it is that like, it made me think he was just miscalculating how far they would end up going. Like his own temporal synapse makes it seem like he's going there. But because we know that the beams are technological, if there is something, technological to the way that the world is held together, the temporal synapses in the system would be the thing that would, start stretching space and time as stuff gets, all messed up. Right.
Yeah.
I really like how shitty Jake is about Blaine, too. Like, in his head, when he's like, oh, I guess you don't know some lady wrote a book about you, dumbass. Like, I mean, Jake is being such a teen. Like, whatever, old man.
Doesn't seem so smart to me.
Where are you going? Topeka, I bet.
Yeah, big phony.
Rolling his eyes.
Oh man, Roland Caulfield. Yeah. Both Jake and Roland are kind of in a similar boat with their reactions to him. Susanna and Eddie are kind of meeting Blaine on his own terms. There's a little bit of kind of metalness to this, not only in the fact that Blaine has this real devil may care attitude about like, oh, the tracks may be broken, but it's more fun this way, right? Like I purposefully blew out my sensors to make sure we wouldn't fly off into the air at 800 miles an hour, because for fun. But then we start. Good.
I think Stephen King missed a step here because now I'm rooting for the train. More fun. I'm like, yes, it is.
This Blaine seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah,
he's gonna go out, like the best way to die, which is upside down in a Lamborghini on fire.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's how you want to go out.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yes, scream through the pearly gates in a burning upside down fireball. That's where you want to go.
Yeah.
It really says a lot about the stakes that they forgot Susanna's wheelchair and nobody cares. They're all like, okay, whatever. We just gotta live through this. We'll figure something out.
They didn't realize it until they were like passing over the wall out of Lud. I love how metal this imagery is for pretty much this entire next section where we're starting to see what's going on beyond Lud. But like they're approaching the Great Wall, which looks gigantic from inside of Lud. Right. And they've got what appears to be just piles and piles of Lud bodies and skeletons that are like crawling up over each other in order to get to the top of the wall. It looks like they tried to burn down the trestle that would lead Blaine out of Lud. And they break out over it. And turns out Lud is at the side of this gigantic cliff. The wall itself, which appeared so big, is actually nothing compared to this sheer massive drop off to this blasted, glassy, knotted plain that they say like it looks like it was bombed or hit so hard that it had no choice but to sink thousands and thousands of feet down below.
I have to imagine that. It was tempting for Stephen King to put in like maybe that Planet of the Apes scene with the Statue of Liberty and like you damn dirty pubes, like. Damn you all to hell, you maniacs. You blew it up.
Yeah. But it's weird to say that he exercised restraint because he did include like pterodactyls and massive, pink tripod creatures and stuff. Like it is a real gallery of horrors that they are flying over. Like the ground has been hit so hard that like the mantle is showing through. Susanna calls up imagery from like the Lord of the Rings. Like this is a real horror show.
Yeah, it's really good, well positioned as here's somewhere you don't want to be. Mm-hmm. Don't be here. There's nothing good. Even if you could walk around on the kind of, I sort of read it as like glass, like a glassy floor that's all been kind of melted and blonked out of proportion, and it's just disgusting. And then there's pterodactyls and large pink tripod creature and things that look like humans but probably aren't.
Yeah, they're jumping around too fast that you can't even see them.
Yeah. Bath. I mean, at least they're far away, right?
Oh, I mean, yes, physically. However, Blaine is like, hey, let's get a closer view and magnifies all of it. So it looks like all of this, including the volcanoes that are blowing up, is happening right beneath them.
Yeah. The Wastelands was designed by David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of monsters.
Yes, give it to me, please. I want to This is a cool thing you are describing.
Yeah, we didn't pay all this money for Guillermo del Toro to not be able to see it close up, okay?
Yeah. We're gonna put all that money on the screen, okay? Yeah. Oh man, it's pretty great. And to think 7,000 miles of this. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like the whole the title of the book, is The Wastelands, and I think up till this point I was assuming that the bit up to the city was the Wastelands, but nope, there was a whole wastier land.
Yeah,
just round the corner through the wall that you thought was quite a big wall. Nah, it's bigger on the other side. It's everything's bigger in the Wastelands. The America of Wastelands.
Yeah. Like all of those like towns that have been ransacked and burned over, and just the the desolation of this civilization that was once there. Okay, yeah, that could be the Wastelands. No, here's this massive dead city that is full of Mad Max people. No, here's this thing that you thought was a nuclear war, but is actually much, much worse.
Oh, you've got mutants. We've got tripod creatures.
When they asked about it, when they asked if it was nuclear war, and Blaine is like, no, it's way worse than that. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know what could be worse than that.
I don't know what he's referring to. Having read the comics, it's hard to say what it is, aside from maybe this combination of, nuclear war and this, this magic that is happening, in addition to sabotaging of the magic that was holding the world together and replacing it with the technological beams.
I think he had it with Cronenberg's. I think he had it with Cronenberg. Like, it's like that Rick and Morty episode where they Cronenberg the entire planet by accident.
Yep.
That.
Either that or the people of Lud were adamant that they did not believe in climate change, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Careful, you'll anger the internet.
It's hard to laugh about that. I know we laugh about a lot. It's hard.
Laugh, but it's just so hot.
Yeah, I'm so hot today. It actually is really, really warm.
It's terrible here as well.
Oh, geez. But yes. And they're like, hey, can you stop showing us this fucking nightmare show? And like, I love Blaine's response because he's such a hypocrite about this. He says, oh, for someone who came to me begging for a ride, you are very rude.
Well, say you're hitching a ride and a truck guy picks you up, and as you're driving along, he just lifts his shirt and just shows you all the pustules and boils on his tail. It's like, right. Can you not? Just, wait, you're ungrateful.
Sir, can you close your fly?
This is like what happens.
I can see you're playing the mono.
Oh, jeez. It's like making Hannibal Lecter into RoboCop.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you were very rude.
So let's learn a little bit more about Blaine himself, because he is by turns this good host, right? Who makes you your ice sculpture complimentary. Just if you're not doing that for any time somebody comes over to your house, including the electrician, you are a bore. And he's also like saying like, hey, I have all of the music in the world from all these dimensions. Do you want to hear the Wagog? Because I've got the Wagog. It's like a bagpipe. No, thank you, Blaine. Do you want to hear some ZZ Top's Tube Snake Boogie? Well, closer to it, but Eddie doesn't have a real taste for that right now, having just seen thousands of people die to Velcro fly.
I loved this little, like, it was brief, but this little Wagog sing, like, all I could think is about Bango Skank and his wailing Whalegog, or Wagog. and then Roland, like, Blaine's sitting there talking, he's like, oh, yeah, that's a bagpipe that they play on the upper levels of the tower. And Roland's like, wait, what'd you say? Like, let's get back to that. He's like, what do you mean it's played on the upper levels of the tower?
Wait, did somebody say tower? It's like when somebody says propane around Hank Hill, like, just his ears perk up.
Exactly.
Oh man. But there's some kind of messed up psychology to Blaine. Last episode I talked about how cool it is that he is an AI who is dangerous, but not because he has achieved any kind of sentience, right? Like, he was built in with that and he functioned with it, but as a result of all of the stuff that is going wrong in the world and the way that the physical rules are breaking down and just thousands of years of isolation by this point, he has gone insane, and he gives like many reasons about it, many reasons for this, from I'm bored to I can only conclude that this is a spiritual malaise beyond my ability to repair. So Blaine is depressed, which is shitty, and like it's a strangely human motivation. I know we made a couple of jokes about mental health here, but like it's a strangely human motivation, the fact that he would jump to that, like he's a machine who's having this spiritual malaise.
I imagine that's what my laptop says every time I don't connect to the internet and install updates. Like, it's just like Windows XP is like, wow, I have got some spiritual malaise.
Adobe Flash has moved on.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I kind of got like a slight parallel to like GLaDOS from Portal.
Yeah,
a little bit here. When you learn in the second game that one of the modules that's built in is like, do tests or you will feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more tests you do, the worse you'll feel when you don't do them. So keep doing tests. Like, he wants to do riddles. He wants to he wants to be interesting, and there's no one there to be interesting with him, and he's bored to tears. So you know what? Done, finished. Yeah. Kill me.
And it's like the only reason that he didn't end his existence sooner was because he heard this rumor about a gunslinger coming out of the east, or out of the west rather. And so like he figured that, okay, this is my chance for a last hurrah.
And this is when the timescale gets weird. It's like, who told him?
I've got sensors. Internet of Things, man.
That's true.
He's like, there's some refrigerator in Lud that was like, is that a gunslinger?
Beep, beep, boop, boop.
Do you think he'd been working on the ice sculpture for months?
Yeah. Yep. Just perfecting it, just scrapping so many of it. Everybody's like, we're so thirsty, we're so hot. Like, no. This goes into the drain, it goes over the cliff. Yeah.
Cameras in the lobstrosities, like, oh, his fingers are gone. Right, start again.
But we can just remove them. No, we can't.
He was holding a gun in that hand. Now that hand is pointless.
Yeah, but he's just lost this purpose. I think there's like there's this kind of for want of a nail kind of thing. Like, yeah, it stopped making sense to serve the people of Midworld, like 1,000 years ago, and about 50 years ago, it stopped making sense to even make this train run for the people of Lud, and like just everything was lost to despair after David Quick arrived. We remember David Quick was the harbinger who kind of led to the takeover by the Greys, and he settled into this role of a god because people forgot that he wasn't just the voice of the train. They forgot that he was the voice of the computer and the voice of the city. Like, Blaine is not this train. He is in fact a pain, but he is kind of the managing, he's like the AI administrator for the entirety of the city of Lud. And for the past 50 or so years, he's been in hibernation mode, just writing the god drums for the Greys.
He sort of says it on the way that he, as the city computer, he's designed to serve the needs of the people, and they need him to be a god. So he's like, cool.
Yep, I'll be one.
Yep. You've got no riddles for me, so I guess this will have to do.
Yeah.
Do you guys like Velcro fly?
That's all I got. I know it's not all he has. He could have given them anything.
Yeah, Bango Skank and his wailing Wagog.
Well, yeah. Yeah. We learned a little bit about Patricia as well. Again, the train that we saw in the river on the way into Lud. He believes that she killed herself about a month ago, but it was long before that. Again, he's this unreliable kind of point of view. Autumn?
It's just like in Westworld. These violent delights have violent ends.
Yeah. And so his violent end was going to be to off himself, but then hey, Riddlers are coming along. It's very kind of sad how callous he is about what happened with Patricia. This kind of note about her sobbing because she got very lonely after an electrical fire kind of cut her off. Like he got
she wouldn't stop sobbing or something, wasn't it?
Right. It's like, oh, here's this train, here's this other voice who does nothing but cry. And so he deactivated her controls so she would be able to, drive off of the dead tracks into the river. And like, it was either that or just let whatever was wrong with her spread throughout the entire system. It's very, I mean, it's a very dick move. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Like, I feel bad for Patricia. For being city mates with this dick.
What a shame that they didn't get Patricia instead. She probably would have been like, "Oh, hello guys!" Like,
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, like Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
like really competent.
Yep. Just all right. Well, let me get warmed up here. Yeah.
They get on the train and there's a cake in the shape of Roland with a horse.
Yep. Oh, delicious.
All of his fingers.
Yeah. Let me see here. There's one line because they ask him like, "Hey, were you active when we showed up?" He's like, "No, I was in sleep mode." Well, why can't you just stay asleep? There's just this one line. He says, "Because there are dreams."
That's terrifying.
It is.
What does an insane computer dream about?
Electric Sheep.
Oh,
Sorry, man.
oh, I'm off.
You can't set it up and not expect me to spike it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I got dunked on. Yeah.
Sorry. So somebody would have tweeted and said, "Why didn't she say?" Yeah.
That's fair.
But no, it's like it's passed without remark, you know. And you know, he's even talking about this because, like, oh, you know, just here's how deranged I am. Fact and superstition, they're kind of one and the same for me now. And he even remarks on that. He's got like the self-awareness. It's very silly that it should be so, not to mention rude. Like his own, he thinks his own psychosis is rude because that doesn't make any sense, but he is very much leaning into it. So, and yeah, like I said, this is a very quick chapter, but before we get to the kind of falling action of this and get to the cliffhanger, like, what do you guys think of just this characterization of Blaine as, you know, this kind of eternal thing that is showing the effects of what happens when everything goes sideways like this?
I kind of like him. I mean, he is a dick. Yeah. Like, this train is a mean, bad train. But if I was an AI computer that had been left to just sort of sit by myself and all my memory banks are sort of failing and everything in the city's going wrong, I'd probably have gone a bit strange by this point. So I don't think that Blaine is inherently evil. I think that he's just gone absolutely spark crazy mad.
Right. And
isn't really in control of what he's doing. I think he's just reverting back to just that sort of base need of, like riddles. Like, I think that's what he reverts to is basically he's lost everything else. He's just got this one thing that he can still comprehend and he can still deal with. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's lost his control. Like, there's no people left. And I love that he speaks in capital letters the entire time. Just really, really forceful the whole time. Just loud. Like, that's how I read it. Just like 18 speakers all around them yelling at them the entire time. I kind of feel a bit sorry for him, even though he's a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, well done, Stephen King. You've made me like an insane murder train. Good job. Because after Charlie the Choo Choo, I was like, yeah, trains suck. Not a fan of that train. That's an evil looking train. And after I saw the picture on the cover of the Charlie the Choo Choo physical book that came out, I was like, right, done with this.
Yep. I don't trust him. I don't trust him one bit.
Train. Yeah. Yep, those are evil eyes. Whereas there's these eyes are just, I'd imagine that his sort of weird triangular train eyes are sort of more, I don't know, empty.
Yeah.
There's no malice really left in there. He's just, this is all he's got left. That's how I read it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, anything human about him is what is about his appearance is brought to him by the people who look at him, right? And he's got this kind of different relationship to cause and purpose than everybody else does. He's not evil, he's amoral. But he's also completely deranged. Autumn, I want to hear what you have to say.
I think Stephen King does a really good job of making you empathize with some of his worst monsters. Like, right. There's a moment when you read a book like The Shining where you're like, oh no, that poor hotel forgot about venting that like pressure heater. Oh no, that poor hotel that tried to murder that family. I hope it doesn't burn down.
No.
I mean, like, same thing with Blaine. You do feel, I mean, being alone for 1,000 years, having these dumbass grays and these dumbass pubes as your only company, you do feel sorry for him. And one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is nobody on the train seems to be quite as scared of Blaine as I am. And like, I'm prescient. I've read the next couple books. I know what's going down, and I'm still very tense in these scenes. Yeah. And Jake's making fun of him. Eddie's rolling his eyes and being like, oh, your, old movie star shtick is tired. Like, all the characters are so condescending about him in their heads. Yeah. And, I mean, he's like this petty tin despot that's like, give me my riddles. I mean, it's a very, very fascinating scene. It's really punchy for just a few pages.
Yeah, it plays out like a negotiation, like where nobody quite realizes how serious he is or what he's capable of. They're pissed off at him for appearing to be just full of hot air, right? Because he's got this little tick whenever he talks about them dying, like, see you later, alligator, after a while, crocodile, like talking about them flying off the tracks at 800 miles per hour.
You're right that this is just like Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock.
Oh, the bus that couldn't slow down. Yeah. So this negotiation pretty much breaks down at the point where Blaine says, "Tell me all of your riddles now. Like, give me what I came here for. Help make this last hurrah a real hurrah." And Roland says, "No, fuck you." And he proceeds to just start dressing Blaine down, saying, "Oh, you have all the sense of a winter wind howling around in a rotten tree stump." Saying, "I would tell you to go fuck your mother, but you have no mother and you have no equipment to do that." Like, all of this just awful stuff. Like, even going down to say, not just "you've forgotten the face of your father," but he adapts it and says, "You've forgotten the face of the people who made you."
Yeah.
I mean, if the train really was a meme lord, it would be sort of calling this savage right here, wouldn't it?
Yes.
This is like, go on, Roland. Like, shoot him with your word bullets.
I do wish that maybe Detta had popped up and said, "I can't call you a gray meat and tell you to tug on your itty bitty candle," because she could have popped up in here.
Oh, she certainly could have. Like, she could have really piled on. But it's really Roland's stage, and Jake is just over the moon at this. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's the coolest."
Because they're all looking at him smiling, aren't they? Like, Eddie's got a grin on his face. Susanna's like wide naught, and Jake's just adoration. Just like, "Go on, my son."
But the
guys, Roland's really cool.
He is very cool.
He's just so cool.
It's just so cool. Like, he hasn't been this cool since the Gunslinger.
Yeah, since he lost his fingers.
Yeah. Roland's got his groove back. Yeah.
Well, when someone makes an ice sculpture of you can't help but feel a little bit of pride. It does wonders for the self-esteem.
Oh, that goes on your resume. Yeah. From December 31st to January 1st was ice sculpture. Yeah. But that makes me sound like an ice sculpture came alive. Huh. Anyway,
so over the new year, I was Iceman for a bit.
Yeah, and he is a very good X-Man. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blaine is having none of this, but in the kind of offering here, it kind of comes out that maybe Blaine isn't as ready to kill all of them as he made it sound like. Right. This is a negotiation, and again with him being a hypocrite. Love this line. "You are rude and arrogant. These may seem like interesting traits to you, but they are not to me." Talking about the train calling the gunslinger pink.
Wow.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Oh,
well, I like the way that they pull apart the Blaine's whole argument of "I'm going to kill all of us. Give me your riddles, please." And they're like, "No. Even if we do, we're going to kill all of us."
Yeah, what reason do we have?
Even bother?
Oh man. And Roland's whole mindset about this is that like this is just another shootout, right? We're using we're using words instead of bullets, and Eddie, to back this up, says like, "Hey, they don't call him the Mad Dog of Gilead for nothing."
I like Blaine's reaction because he's all like, "Really?"
Yeah.
I just sort of, if he was a human, he'd be sort of stood there like a bit cowed, sort of hunched over, shuffling his feet like, "What?"
But he's got these sensors. Like in the last chapter, he was all like, "Oh, I sense that your heart rate rose this much when you said that, and you had an increase in fricative syllables and things." Like, no, like here, it must be like his reliance on this or his actual hesitation. Like he's kind of going along with it. So
it says a lot about gunslingers in this world that Blaine was like, "Well, I was going to kill myself, but then I heard there was a gunslinger."
Yeah.
And that as soon as Eddie's like, they called him the Mad Dog of Gilead, Blaine's like, "Really? Wow."
He's starstruck. Can you sign my seat? Yeah.
Can you sign the ice sculpture I made of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Blaine just met Jason Statham,
Yeah.
Like,
I love that that's the first name you go to.
Don't dudes like him? Dudes like him. I mean, Patricia would have probably rather met Oprah or something, you know?
Jason Statham is a national treasure.
Yeah, he oh, for sure. Yeah, and he is the male equivalent of Oprah. Yeah. You get a transporter. Sorry, I couldn't come up with a better one.
Oh, Christ.
Hey, it worked for me.
But yeah. And then Roland, in striking this deal, he says, all right, tell you what, instead of us giving you all of our riddles and us all dying anyway, how about we do this? Because back in Gilead, we used to have this Faraday riddling. You know, Eddie and Susanna, they know about this, but let me describe this here. There's a good amount of real estate kind of given over to just saying like, oh, whoever won got to take home the goose. Like there's some description of the events themselves, but really it's just flavor on Gilead, and also gives you that flashback to Martin and Gabrielle Deschênes, you know.
I love that whole section because, you know, Martin and Roland's mother dancing and they're twirling and everyone's clapping except the gunslingers, because you have to imagine that gunslingers have a strict bros before hoes policy.
Oh, of course. They know what's up. They cannot.
It's the way of the gun. You're not going to clap for your bro's hoe. When she's dancing with an evil wizard.
No, they know that Martin's no good. Yeah. But this, you know, tale of civilizations past, like this convinces Blaine and says, all right, I'll tell you what, you are Ka-Tet, one for many, so am I, whose Ka-Tet is the stronger is something we must now prove. You're going to tell me every riddle that you know. If I can't answer one of them, I will let you go. If I answer all of them by the time I get to Topeka, we're done. You know, cast your nets, wanderers, try with me your questions, and let the contest begin. And that's where this book ends.
Whew.
And we don't hear anything more until 5 years later. I believe that Wizard and Glass came out in like 1996 or 97.
So as a relative newcomer to the series, you know, I've read these books in the last couple of years. Did either of you guys read them as they were coming out? Like, was this shitty to deal with? Because I imagine it sounds like 5 year gap is pretty shitty.
I read up through the Wastelands, and then I think I probably had to wait maybe 2 years for. So I didn't have the true experience, but I probably had to wait about 2 years for book 4 to come out. I think the rub with some of this, I mean, they spoil you rotten with some of these young adult trilogies where the book comes out like clockwork every year and a half. The problem with some of this, and coming back and rereading it now, I didn't give as much credit to some of the books as maybe they deserved, because I was like, I mean, after you wait 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, you're like, anything that you read is going to be a letdown because you've built it up so much in your head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that you read it, Paddy, is the perfect way to do it when you have everything available and you can make some fair judgments.
Yeah, I'm like you, Paddy. I read these after at least the first 7 books were out. So there was no real cliffhanger. It was just load up the next book on Kindle and you're good. I can imagine being very frustrated by this. And King anticipated this. Like, he has this afterword that basically says, like, yep, I'm pretty surprised as you are. It reads to me as genuine because, you know, of what I know about the way he writes, you know, from on writing and hearing other stuff. And he's got this line saying, you know, I must nevertheless insist that I was as surprised by the conclusion of this 3rd volume as some of my readers may be. Yet books which write themselves, as this one did for the most part, must also be allowed to end themselves. So, it's hard to tell if he was afraid to end this because he couldn't think of a good way for them to get out of it. He alludes in this afterward saying, hey, like they're going to get out of it. I know that. And he talks about how the next book is going to concern itself with Roland's past and tie up the loose ends with Richard Fannin, the sorcerer from the last chapter, and the TikTok man. All of that. But it basically says, hey, every time I do this, it gets harder and harder, to go in and get out what I need to get. So it's hard to figure out why the decision panned out this way, especially when you look at book 4 and, you see that it starts like literally a couple of pages. Like it recreates or just basically reuses the last couple of pages of the Wastelands in order to start it up. Like it is the exact moment where it picks up.
Previously on the Dark Tower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say the payoff is really good at the end of book 4 when Daenerys flies in on her dragons into Midworld.
Mm-hmm. Like, guess what? We're another level on the tower too.
Spoilers, when I've not watched the series yet. Christ. I like to think, it's going to sound a bit flippant, but I like to think that maybe King, he just didn't have enough good riddles at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you're going to do a riddling contest, you want to have at least, maybe 10 bangers, like really, really good ones. And maybe he had 2, and he's like, well, can't just have him do 2.
He's like, red touches black. Is that a riddle? No, damn. Leaves of 3? Nope, that's not a riddle either.
I am very unclear on what a riddle is. Yeah.
But tracking back to what I just said, I just want to say before we finish up, I just cannot wait to see Idris Elba ride that dragon into Midworld.
No, it's going to be great. It's going to really tie everything together. Oh, that movie's coming out so soon. I think as people are listening, that is the next episode to come out. Is the one about the movie.
Oh.
We're recording this a little bit. I mean, we're early, just because that's how I like to do stuff. But yeah, like that's going to be a part of the inner season, part of the between seasons break, is the episode about that. Yeah. So, final thoughts on the Wastelands as a whole. Here at this point, I want to congratulate you, Paddy, because you have finished the series, right?
I did. Yeah, I finished it like last week.
Nice.
And what do I do with my life now?
Well, you just put it on the back burner, and then you just break it out.
I finished book 7. I finished it at work on a lunch break, and I finished it, and I put the book down. I just sat there quietly for about 5 minutes, just not quite sure. Do I get up now? Do I go on the internet? What do I do?
With my hands, I don't know what to do with them.
I was just empty.
My hands and my eyes.
Yeah, and then I finally watched the trailer for the Dark Tower film because I've been waiting because I was worried.
Oh, nice.
In case it spoiled it, and now I'm more worried.
Because it doesn't look good?
No, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that you have like 1,000 pages of Insomnia to read for like a couple tie-ins, and then 800 pages of It to read for a couple tie-ins.
Oh, 800 pages? I'm sorry, 1,400?
Oh, is it that big? Ooh.
I think it's a 1,200 page book. I think the extended edition of The Stand is 1,400.
Looks like we got a real Blaine on our hands, right?
Guys, I just want to read a short book.
Yeah, no.
Can I not just read something that's like 150 pages and it's done? I can't do this anymore. It's wearing me to pieces.
Here's my question for you, Paddy. Did you read The Wind Through the Keyhole?
I have not yet. I couldn't find a copy of it, and I thought, should I wait? No, I have these books here. I'm reading them right now.
Yeah.
Once I got into it, I kind of kicked back off at Wolves of the Calla and then just basically didn't stop.
Yeah, I would say give yourself a break. But Wind Through the Keyhole is a shorter, breezier book.
Good.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Yeah. but kind of final summations or thoughts on the Wastelands, Paddy?
Just a brilliant, brilliant book. I don't think on my first read, I don't think I gave it enough credit. I think my favorite from the series is Wizard and Glass, and I think the fact that I read that was my favorite kind of overshadowed the ones before it. Like, oh, they were okay, but they weren't Wizard and Glass.
Right.
But having read through this again and just seeing all the different sort of things they go through, it's a really good book for setting up. It sort of sets the Ka-Tet up for the rest of the series. Like you learn more about them. They're together now. You've brought Jake in properly. It's a real sort of coming together. You've got that great moment in the middle where they just go to a nice town with some people and just have a lovely day. Just have a lovely chat with some nice old people and just bring it down a bit. And then everything from getting to the City of Blood to flying across the Wastelands on a mad dick train. Like, it doesn't stop. And it happened again, as I was reading through the chapters for the show, and we sort of get to the end of, like, I think we got halfway through Lud when we left Gasher in the sewer. That's where we kind of got to the last point. I'm like, I want to keep reading this again right now.
Yeah.
When it goes, it goes. I really like that we take the time. They're doing some pretty action-packed stuff, but you were learning more about the characters and how they interact and sort of the way they are gelling together during the book. So it's kind of an event book, but it's also an interstitial growing book.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw mine out because you pretty much summed up my thoughts. It's great to see everybody settle into their roles. Like they're finding their place on the team. Showing their different kind of competencies and kind of growing together as a group, discovering what this kind of mystic connection means. And yeah, like it has these incredibly high highs. It's a very diverse book in terms of like action set pieces. I mean, the fact that it has three villains who could be the villains of their own books is kind of ridiculous in Gasher, TikTok, and Blaine.
And a giant bear.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, so four
giant bear.
Well, 4 of these just kind of terrible adversaries that they have to go through. Like it's rich with incident, but it does give plenty of context, for these characters and gets you to know them. Autumn, how about you?
I think that our actually being on the Slack channel and everything, I'm always fascinated by which books are people's favorites. And I guess when I take my BuzzFeed quiz about which Dark Tower book are you ask the questions, how do you want to get into town, on a train, on a mule, in a wheelchair? Like this is my favorite book. Like I would actually work the BuzzFeed quiz to be like, oh no, there were definitely a lot of gunslinger burritos, so that's my favorite food. Definitely not Aston and Pepsi. Like, I mean, this is absolutely my favorite book of the series, which doesn't take anything away from the rest of the series because they're all so different in length, in tone, in pace, and everything. But this is definitely my which Dark Tower book are you? Ideal result that I would share on Facebook.
Yeah. Man, naming favorites is so hard. I kind of envy your ability to just come out and say like, yes, the Wastelands. I love all my children's, but the Wastelands above all.
I don't care for book 7, which is Job.
Oh, yeah. Book 7 has a lot of Job-like qualities.
but yeah, I'm sure when you take my quiz, Cole, that I'm going to make up right now. I'm sure you'll find out the answers you've been searching for.
Like you're going to have to make the quiz now. Just so you know, because you promised it. Well, thank you, everybody. If you've been listening since the beginning of the show, or if you just tuned in to hear about the Wastelands, this cool book that we just talked about, we're so happy to have you here. Autumn, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on the Duckfeed Slack channel in the Radio Free Midworld section. You can also find me on Twitter at Mrs. Greer. That's at MISSUS Greer. Yeah.
Awesome. And Paddy, how about you?
You can find me generally on Twitter at Paddy Stardust. I also co-host the Twin Humanities Dark Souls podcast, and that you can find on at Twin Humanities. Find me on Twitter. Say hello.
Yeah. Pro follows both. And you can find me on Twitter at Cole Ross, KoleRoss, and on other shows here at Duckfeed.tv. If you want to leave a rating or review for this show, we would greatly appreciate it. Tell your friends, especially as we're getting into this mid-season full of some really popular stuff. The Mist has just gotten that weird TV series that I need to go watch. We're going to be talking about these movies that are coming up, the Dark Tower movie. We want to talk about the It movie and a little bit about the miniseries as well. And also The Stand. Like there's some really exciting things happening here over the next couple of months in this protracted break that I've designed to emulate as closely as possible the break between the Wastelands and Wizarding Glass. But we're so happy to have you here. Let me think here. What else is there to do? If I remember anything, I will mention it at the beginning of this episode. But until next time, I want to wish you long days and pleasant nights.